My name is Lucia, and the day my mother told me I had 30 days to leave was the day my entire understanding of family shattered. Growing up, I believed home was supposed to be a safe place, a place where no matter how hard life got, you could always come back. But I learned the hard way that safety can be taken away. I was 24 years old, recently laid off, still trying to find my footing in a world that never slowed down long enough for me to breathe. I moved back in with my mom after college, thinking it would be temporary, just until I got back on my feet. She said it was fine. She said, "You're my daughter. This is your home." I believed her. At first, everything seemed normal. Quiet dinners, polite conversations, long silences. Too quiet. My mom had changed. She wasn't warm anymore. She wasn't cruel either, just distant, like she was already preparing for a life without me in it. One evening, she asked me to sit down. Her voice was calm, too calm. She folded her hands on the kitchen table and avoided my eyes. That's when she said it. "Lucia, you have 30 days to move out." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because my brain refused to accept it. I asked her if she was serious. She nodded. No anger, no apology, just a decision already made. Then she said something that hurt even more. "We sold the house." I felt the room spin. Sold the house? The house I grew up in. The walls that held my childhood. The place I thought I could always return to. Gone. She told me she was moving in with her boyfriend, a man I barely knew, and there was no room for me in that future. That night, I cried silently in my room, packing my life into boxes, knowing I wasn't just losing a house, I was losing my mother, and I had no idea that 6 months later, she would be begging me to come back.
I left the house with 2 suitcases. That was it. Everything I owned. Everything I was allowed to take. My mom didn't hug me. She didn't say goodbye. She just stood there, watching me walk out of her life. I kept waiting for her to stop me, to say she'd changed her mind. She never did. I slept on a friend's couch that night, then another, then another. I told everyone it was temporary, but deep down, I knew I was homeless. I applied for jobs non-stop, retail, restaurants, offices, anything. Rejection emails piled up. Silence hurt even more. I stopped calling my mom. She never called me either. Weeks passed, then months. I ended up renting a tiny room. No window, no privacy, no comfort. Just survival. Some nights I cried myself to sleep. Other nights I didn't feel anything at all. That scared me the most. I finally got a job. Low pay, long hours. But it was mine. I learned how to be alone, how to be strong, how to survive without a mother. I didn't know it then, but this was the part of my life that would save me later. Because while I was rebuilding myself, my mother's perfect new life was already starting to fall apart.
Months passed. I settled into a routine. Wake up, work, sleep. No one called. No one checked. I realized I was truly alone. The tiny room I rented smelled of dampness and old carpet. I covered it with blankets, trying to make it feel like home. I ate cheap food, mostly instant noodles and whatever I could find on sale. Sometimes I skipped meals just to save a few dollars. Pride was a luxury I couldn't afford. Nights were the worst. Silence crushed me. Memories of home haunted me. I remembered the day she told me to leave, her calm voice, her eyes avoiding mine. The words, "We sold the house." Anger, sadness, confusion, they all mixed together, making me feel numb and heavy. But slowly, something began to change. I couldn't control my past. I couldn't make my mother care. But I could control myself. I started saving money. I made small goals, nothing big, just enough to survive and slowly rebuild. I signed up for evening classes, learning skills that could help me get a better job. Every hour I spent learning, I felt a little stronger. I realized I didn't need her approval. I didn't need anyone's permission to exist, to grow. I was becoming my own person. There were nights I cried. There were nights I laughed quietly at small victories. I learned to celebrate even tiny wins. I started meeting new people, friends who respected me, people who didn't judge my past. I began to feel hope again. Months of struggle taught me more than years at home ever did. I discovered my strength, my independence, my worth. And just when I thought I had finally settled, I heard whispers about her life. My mother, the woman who threw me out, was facing hardships of her own. The boyfriend she had moved in with left her. The house she thought would be perfect wasn't enough. People she trusted betrayed her. And for the first time in months, I felt a mix of fear and curiosity. The woman who once held all the power in my life was now vulnerable. I didn't know how this story would end. I only knew one thing. I had survived, and I was stronger than I had ever imagined. Little did I know, 6 months later, our paths would collide again. 6 months had passed since I left. My mother's new life, the one she had planned so carefully, was unraveling faster than anyone could imagine. The boyfriend she moved in with wasn't the man she thought he was. Lies, deception, betrayal, and she had no one to lean on. The house she had boasted about, sold the one I grew up in, now felt cold and empty. Calls to old friends went unanswered. People she trusted turned their backs. And slowly, she realized she had lost the one person who had truly cared for her. News reached me through whispers, chance encounters. My mother, once so in control, was now fragile, desperate, scared. And then came the moment I never thought I'd see. A knock on my door late one evening. I opened it to find her standing there, eyes wide, tears streaming. The woman who had thrown me out, the woman who had sold our home, was now begging. "Lucia, please, I need you. I was wrong. I didn't understand how much I needed you. Please, come back." Her voice cracked with desperation. I stood frozen. I could see the regret in her eyes, the vulnerability she had never shown before. And for the first time, the power shifted. I was no longer the one pleading. I was the one in control. I remembered every sleepless night, every tear I cried, every day I fought to survive. And now she was the one standing there, stripped of her pride, stripped of her certainty. It was a sight that brought anger, confusion, and an odd sense of satisfaction all at once. She pleaded again. "I made a mistake. I didn't understand how much I needed you. Please come back." I felt my heart tighten. Part of me wanted to comfort her. Part of me wanted to shut the door and never look back. Memories of betrayal clashed with my instincts. Fear, anger, love, and disappointment all collided. I realized something in that moment. I didn't owe her anything, not after what she had done. But I also knew I could choose my own ending. I could choose to forgive or simply walk away. And for the first time, I felt the strength of my journey. The months of struggle had built me into someone she could no longer control. The next words I said would change everything, and it all came down to one simple choice. I looked at her standing there, the woman who had once been my mother, now just a person, vulnerable and desperate. Tears streamed down her face. Her voice trembled. "Lucia, please, I was wrong. I need you. I took a deep breath. I could feel the years of hurt and abandonment, the sleepless nights, the struggles, the survival, all pressing down on me. I remembered how far I had come, how I had learned to stand on my own, how I had built my life from nothing. I realized something crucial in that moment. I didn't need her validation to feel whole. Yet my heart ached at the sight of her despair. Could I forgive her? Could I let her back into my life? The answer wasn't simple. I spoke slowly, each word deliberate. Mom, I survived without you. I grew without you. I built myself while you were gone. She nodded, tears still falling. I know, I continued, and I'm glad you understand now, but I can't just go back to the way things were. She looked at me with desperation, her voice cracked. Please, I just want my daughter back. I took a step back. I let the silence stretch between us. I let her feel the weight of her actions. And then I spoke again. Mom, I can forgive you, but that doesn't mean we go back. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It just frees me. She fell silent. I could see the sorrow in her eyes. I opened the door fully and stepped outside. For the first time in months, I felt the air around me differently. I felt light, free. I didn't need her to complete me. I had completed myself. She called my name softly. I turned for a moment, just long enough to nod. A nod that said, I forgive, but I move forward. And then I walked away, not in anger, not in hatred, but in the quiet strength of a woman who had survived, who had learned, who had grown. I was Lucia, and for the first time in my life, I was truly free.